Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2004 here in TEW 2020, as we're now continuing on the road to Starrcade 2004 as Nitro, live from the beautiful Console Energy Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, starts out with Sean Ayer coming onto the ring to a big pop from the crowd as he takes the mic and says, "Me and Chuck, we rose up in this business together. We basically started in the power plant at the same time, along with a lot of people you've never heard of, and some people you have, and some people who have drifted away. But here's the reality of the thing. And I shouldn't say this, but a lot of people know the truth. And the truth is, I was always just a little bit better. I was willing to work a little bit harder, take one more bump in the ring, stay that much longer in the weight room, listen that much longer to the trainers in the back. And the other reality, Chuck, is you are always the one taking the risk and getting yourself in trouble. You're the one who wanted to be aggressive against Deadpool. You're the one who wanted to be aggressive against Horseman. And you were always the one going off, half-cocked, and getting your ass kicked. Because deep down, the truth is, Chuck, you always knew you were always going to be just a little bit behind me. And you're up to stand up to me man to man. Now you say your old lady convinced you, but the reality is you wanted to be convinced. You wanted to be given an excuse so you didn't have to face the truth eye to eye. And here's the thing, Chuck. You do want to fight me? That's fine. Because tonight, I'm facing Booker in the main event. And you expect me to say a lot about Booker because, he fought me, but he did his best to defeat me any way he could. But I've got no venom for the man. Because, you know that, he fought me. And yes, he's a jackass. But the man is a great wrestler, and he's willing to get in this squirrel circle and fight, even though he'll use anything to win. And Chuck, at the end of the day, I'll rather face a man who wants to fight, even if he'll try to knife me in the back, than a guy who doesn't want to fight me at all. Because, Chuck, I'm still the future Shock in professional wrestling, and one way or the other, I'm going to get you in this damn ring. Big pop for that as O'Hare walks away. 87. Good promo. Again, I believe I rated him on mic skill, so not quite 100 because I didn't throw any entertainment, but I wanted, this would be a focused promo, really building up that O'Hare, wants Palumbo in that ring as we continue to build a Starrcade. And after that, we got O'Hare versus Booker tonight, the little graphic, which gets a 72. As we move forward to our first match of the night. As in a decent match, Angel Fox defeats Jordan Cole in 6-12 by pinfall, clean with an Angel Snap. Just a back and forth match, but Angel Fox gets the advantage with a few big, stiff moves. Cole attempts a big spear into the corner, gets out of the way. Fox takes over, hits a big bulldog, big drop kick, Angel Snap, which is sort of like a modified what is it? I feel like I'm gonna move sort of like a roll through jawbreaker. I think I'll have to double check that. And then 1, 2, 3. A clean victory for Angel Fox over Jordan Cole here to open up WCW Nitro. This gets a 63. Angel Fox gets a 59. Jordan Cole gets a 54. Fox was off for game, but still good stuff. And of course, post-match, the trio of women, Lizzie Dumas, Lexi James, and Angel Fox all try for a beatdown on Jordan Cole, but after a couple moments, Ronnie Jonah, Nia Hart, and Celine Cartier all come down to make the save and run off the heels and stare down the heels as Jordan Cole gets some attention from WCW officials. And it seems these women want some shots together as this gets a 55. Fun stuff in building up that storyline. And if you're wondering, there's a reason why Jordan Cole, our babyface, lost totally clean, but I'll get into that in a bit. Then we go backstage where Jeremy Borash is with Eddie Guerrero as Borash, asks Eddie why the hell he attacked AJ out of behind. And he says, "It's pretty simple, I say. AJ Styles disrespected me. You see, I should be holding the cold shot right now, but all throughout that match at Mayhem, he went after me. Not Kidman, not Brother Ray, he went after me. Because he thought he could take me out and prove that he's the hottest rising star in professional wrestling. But here's the reality, kid. You were lucky, way back at the Big Bang, that Bischoff was desperate for talent, was willing to bring in some punk kid that nobody outside of some small Yoko towns in Georgia has ever heard of. And you've risen up. And you have some talent, but you're not Eddie Guerrero, a former world champion, and who many all around the world still think is the best wrestler in their homes. And tonight, you're going to a little preview of what I could do to that ring when I face Paul London. And Paul, tonight you're going to dose of Guerrero family values. And AJ, you just watch and decide whether you actually want to face me in that ring. Guerrero walks away as, this good promo building up the Guerrero AJ storyline as this gets an 87, and we move forward. Then we have a quick promo. Oops, as Eel Skipper is, cuts a quick promo backstage saying, doesn't matter who shows up, who gets in that ring, any masked weirdo, any high flyer whose ass already kicked, doesn't matter. It'll still be prime time to be the WCW Cruiserweight Champion. So another quick promo, gets a 44, but he is getting better as gimmicks, so not, back and forth there. Not great, but not terrible either. As he then comes to the ring, where Blitzkrieg is in the ring and he's waiting for his opponent, and out comes Austin Aries, making his WCW debut. He has a Kakakuru gimmick, which is given off great. As he just put over that Austin is a rising star independent who has come to WCW for a chance at glory. And he's not that over because he actually hasn't done that much on the indies yet, which is part of the reason why I signed him, because I don't want to start signing guys away from the rising indies, just because again I want to be realistic. But Austin, he has a decent look. He's actually good in the ring, and he's kind of charismatic. So I think that's better than some people who are just great wrestlers at this point. Like Aries was somewhat a decent promo and stuff even by this point. So there we go. At least that's my rationalization. As we go to the match, as about that terrible wrestling in Austin crowd heat. Austin Aries defeated Blitzkrieg by 554 by pinfall, illegally using the ropes for leverage. As this gets a 52, Blitzkrieg gets a 52, Austin Aries gets a 39, and yeah, so basically back and forth match, high flying match, but Austin basically, Blitzkrieg goes for a big splash, goes for a big 450, Austin gets his knees up, rolls up, pulls him through, brainbuster, Fisherman Buster. And then locks Blitzkrieg in for the pinfall and puts his foot on the ropes to get the victory, as he now qualifies for the Ignition Cruiserweight title match. As this gets to 52, like I said, and post-match, Aries celebrates 2 of 41. Fun stuff. Then we go backstage where we basically cut to and there's a little graphic that has earlier this week as Tricia Skye is doing some promo shots. We'll say for WCW Magazine, when Gail Kim basically interrupts the modeling, as, Trisha's like, why are you here? And Gail's like, Tricia, you want to think you're different, but you're really no different than Joni or Lizzie stepping over talent that was already here to get your glory. And Trisha's like, I got in the ring and I defeated who was in front of me. And that's why I asked Joni for the match, because I've defeated everybody that's put in front of me. I believe I deserve a title shot. I didn't walk in here and ask for a title shot on my first night, even though honestly Bischoff would have probably given it to me. So if you're upset about that, go talk to Bischoff. And Gail's like, no, I'm not going to talk to Eric. No, I'm talking to you. Tricia, if you think you truly deserve that title shot, then fight me. And if I win, I get added to the title match. And Tricia's like, I've got no problem with that. Talk to Bischoff. And, tell him I'm okay with the match. And there we go. Gail comes, get ready for a triple threat match at Starrcade. And Tricia's like, sky's the limit no matter who I'm facing in the ring, Gail. I got respect for you, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to defeat you. And after that, we come back and the intro is put over that it'll be Tricia Skye versus Gail Kim at Revolution in a couple of days. As this gets to 71. As again, Tricia's really good. Gail Kim's getting more over and getting built up by being the angle of Tricia. And there we go. And then we have this is a 99. Okay. This is basically just charisma, entertainment going over, as Monty Brown comes out first along Stevie Ray, who's still here, at least for now, as Monty Brown says, on Revolution, Bill Goldberg tried to take me out, but he failed, because it's my time now. Nobody has been able to stop me in WCW so far, even you, Bill. You didn't beat me at Havoc. I kicked your ass, and I sent you out of this, and I sent you out of the ring for a month. And I can do it again if you're going to face me man to man. Cue Bill Goldberg, who comes out and says, I attacked you on Revolution because I wanted to remind you that you never faced true competition so far, Monty. You haven't faced anybody like the man. You haven't faced anybody who's just as tough as you, who's just as big as you, who's just as explosive as you. Do you want to fight? Yeah. you didn't beat me. I didn't beat you last time, but at Havoc, you didn't beat me either. And you attacked me from behind. And you didn't take me out for the month. You took me out for a couple weeks. But there's no reason for me to come back until you were done with your suspension. And I'm happy to jump in this ring right now and kick your ass. But I know, and these fans would love it, Pop, for me to spear your ass and put you down with the jackhammer. And if your buddy gets in the way, I'll kick his ass too. But Brown, I don't want to prove to you. I'll be happy to prove it tonight. But let's do it at the granddaddy of them all, Starrcade. Let's really prove who's the man. And when I was like, I'm fine with that. Especially because that means everybody in this audience has to pay for the privilege to see me kick your ass, Goldberg. And the match is made at Starrcade, the rematch from Halloween Havoc, Monty Brown versus Bill Goldberg. And yeah, let's get to 99 because everybody's really over, great entertainment, all that fun stuff. And then we have a tag match. As in a good match, Mark Jindrak and Simply Johnny Devine get the win over the former tag team champions, Wright and Chavo, 9:53. When Simply Johnny Devine pinned Alex Wright with a divine intervention, which I still have to double check and look up. I think it's a double underhook like pile driver, which I'll turn to a double underhook power bomb or something like that. After Jamie Noble came down ringside with Ebony Sable, which distracted Wright just long enough for Devine to basically like hit a low blow and then hit his finisher. And this gets a 76, as before, like, was, really solidly good, really great match. Like, back and forth, Bright and Chavo doing teamwork, but Jindrak doing some power stuff, Devine doing the cheaty heel tactics, and eventually, that finish happening, as I just went over. And overall, like I said, it gets 76. Somebody Johnny Devine gets 64, which means he's getting there slowly. Jindrak gets 74, but of course, these guys, excellent chemistry, which really improves there. As Chavo gets an 82, and Alex Wright gets an 85. So really fun stuff, 76. But post-match, as Wright and Chavo are like recovering in the ring, like Jindrak and Devine go outside, and they're actually start like talking to Ebony Sable, as like Sable says, as Jindrak says, we're gonna kick their ass anyway. Stay out of our business. And it was like, anything's my business, because I'm Jamie goddamn Noble. And Devine's like, excuse me, let's take him out. And Sable like sort of blocks Noble, back, blocking from Noble. And it looks like there's going to be a fight between the two heels. Again, heels don't get along. Out of nowhere, Wright and Chavo do a double dive onto all four men. And there's a fight before WCW break it up. Looks like these tag teams are at war, as this gets a 64 because I forgot to add a storyline to it. That's unfortunate. But hey, what can you do? And then we have a really, so this is basically like a really long promo package, like with clips, quick interview segments, and stuff with Rob Van Dam. As it starts out basically with some independent and All Japan footage and some other footage for when RVD was in Japan prior to his debut here in 2002 in game. It goes over his winning, his debut in WCW, winning the U.S. title, defeating Ric Flair at Starrcade, as, Van Dam says, that was a hell of a thing, man, being at Starrcade, facing Ric Flair, and actually beating him. And then we go over his title shot and his respect for Kanyon. He says, Kanyon, man, that guy can do a lot of stuff in the ring, and he's a hell of a wrestler, and happy now he's not such a douchebag. But he took me on, and he was ready, and he's ready to fight me at any time. And I'm glad I got him in the ring. But I fell just short, and I told myself that RVD was not going to fall short again. And then it goes over the Mayhem Finals, where Sean O'Haire won, and, RVD says, I was really close, man, and, me, I can sure as hell win a ladder match, but the chaos was like anything I've seen in the Barbed Wire City before. It wasn't my time, I guess. And then they go over, that he started teaming with Booker and teaming with him and his friendship, and he's like, I wanted to be his friend, man, but every time something went wrong, he started blaming other people. His wife got in his ear, and then Starrcade, man, like, he was so ready to blame everybody but himself. And that sucks because you can't blame other people. You got to get in that ring and fight for yourself. That's how I grew up from a guy wrestling in front of 10 people in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, getting ready to main event Starrcade. Always ready to go out there, fight, and win any way I can. Because, man, that's just the way Rob Van Dam fights. But, I had to fight him. Because his ass was going off the rails. But I was happy I moved on. And then there's Helms. And they go over, feud with Helms, the possible number one contendership. And he's like, look, I'm facing him yet. So, can't say I haven't fought the guy, but I'll say I haven't, defeated the guy. And Helms can talk about killing the legend of ECW all he wants. But I kicked his ass, and I can kick his ass again. Because Helms thinks he's some great slayer of giants, killer of legends, and he's the top wrestler in this game. But deep down, he knows he's never really beat me in that ring. And RVD is ready to take that world title off of him. But, and then move on to Jerry Lynn. He's like, I was surprised as anybody else, but, I guess Lynn had to have one last match with me. But hey, I'm cool with him now. As long as he doesn't, attack me at Starrcade or wherever else, he's cool. And then there's, final thing of Helms, and RVD's like, maybe Shane, maybe he hasn't actually, watched ECW, maybe he's just seen clips. Because, a lot of the guys in Philly, they didn't knock me for a while because I was wanting to be at the top of the business. And I recognized that it was a great place to wrestle, but Philadelphia was not the top of this industry. And now I'm ready to be at the top of this industry. And Helms, you can throw anything at me because I've seen it all before. And at Starrcade, RVD will be world champion. So I can just, going over RVD's history, putting it over and putting over his Starrcade main event as that gets an 89, and we move forward. And then we have a quick backstage statement where Booker is backstage getting ready when the chosen few get involved. Booker's up ready to fight, and Jeff's like, no. Look, we're here to make you a deal, sap nuts. And Booker's like, why the hell should I trust a deal with you, sucker? And Jarrett's like, no, look. We want to get involved in your main event, even though we could totally take you out. Because 3-1, numbers. But if you have a match with my man Mark Jindrak, who's part of the future of this business and one of my chosen few, then we can squash our beef and it's all over, especially after Jindrak beats you. And Booker sort of checks to that. Look, Seka, you want me to take on one of your boys and kick his ass? I'm happy to do that. But I'm busy getting ready to defeat O'Hare again. So, Seka, I'll ready your match. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Because I want to get you out of my life. Can you dig that? And Jarrett's like, well, we'll have to see about that, Slapnuts. If you keep to your end of the deal. As I walk away, as it gets an 87, as, again, both heels, but they still hate each other. And then we have our match with Eddie Guerrero versus Paul London. As here's the thing, Paul London does his best, as he's a former US champion and a really good wrestler. But Eddie Guerrero is Eddie Guerrero. And he's just that much better than London. High flying, Eddie can do that. London goes for a dive. Guerrero's ready for him. Turns to a power slam. London goes up for a superplex. Guerrero fights him off and hits a top rope Falcon Arrow. Guerrero ready to brawl with him. London hits a big dive. Guerrero is placed dirty on the outside. And eventually hits the Blue Thunder Bomb. Rolls that into the Brainbuster. Up top. Clean win. Frog Splash. 1, 2, 3. Eddie gets a 91. Paul gets an 80. Clean win for Eddie. But then he continues to beat down as he says, screaming at the camera. This is you, AJ. He's a punk. You're a punk, Holmes. Until AJ comes down to make the save as Eddie backs up, looking like the cocky Los Guerreros that he is, pointing at himself, pointing at AJ, and just sort of smirking and walking away as it gets 74, continuing to build up this feud. And then we have a backstage segment with Mesias and Morningstar in the Graveyard of Souls, the smoky, fog-lit room with lots of grave in the graveyard, lots of tombstones. So there's 2 new tombstones in front of them, Steve Borden and Ric Flair. As Mesias looks scary because he's Mesias, and Morningstar says the message was not quite clear, but now it is. You see, the message was visions of blood and blonde hair, golden glamour. Now it's clear. See, I was correct, Sting. The message was not about you, because you are our past. But you have connected with our present. Because the message is about the supposed dirtiest player game, the supposed greatest of all time, the man who has wrestled all around the world. Flair, the reality is you spilt enough blood to appease many who ask for it in sacrifice. But that is not what the message requires. The message does not require your blood. The message does not require a sacrifice. The message does not require even you kneeling down. The message, Nature Boy, requires the end of you in professional wrestling. And by teaming up with your former rival, you have walked into your own end. And we will, as the message requires, be happy to give it to you. So I guess Mesias Morningstar want to take out Ric Flair once and for all at Starrcade, as this gets in 96. And now it's time for our main event. Oof. Let's see here. Psychology. Okay, yeah, like psychology, holding back slightly. We put on storyline. Man, these Nitro main events have just had like a bad run. Like I'm going to look this up. Like how many Nitro main events have been like sort of underperformed. Anyway, decent. Like I mean, together it was only an 85, so really only 4 points. Anyway, sorry. Back and forth match, like really solid main event U.S. Pro style match of the mid 2000s. O'Hare hits his spots, big power spots. The power slam lariat, Widowmaker, Booker T fights out of it. Booker eventually goes for the Booker T, but O'Hare blocks it. Some big kicks, sprawling to the outside, guardrails, goes over the table of the announcers as they scatter. O'Hare actually walks Booker T with the monitor at ringside. Eventually the match goes inside as O'Hare eventually gains the advantage. It's a big spear, power slam, lariat, and just, he hits the power slam, he hits the lariat, and then as he's ready to get O'Hare up in the Widowmaker, Chuck Palumbo rides his bike with Raven Rain on the back, all the way down the ringside, parks it, gets in the ring, and just plows O'Hare with a kick to the back of the head. Ref calls for the bell, Booker T rolls out, and the beatdown is on. Isaac gets an 81, like I said, slightly disappointing. Booker gets an 87, Sean gets an 83. But the post-match, and here we go. Like, this is just a pure beatdown as, like, Raven even gets a few kicks in, because, of course, she's an evil bitch. As he says, O'Hare, you want to fight? Well, look at your ass on the ground, beaten down by the man who always was your better. I didn't want to fight you, O'Hare, because I wanted to save you the embarrassment of everybody finding out that I always carried everything in our partnership. And you're telling me my old lady telling me what I'm going to hear? No. Raven Rain finally reminded me of everything you had done to me over the past 5 years. Since the day, you're right, we're in the power plant, you were always a suck-up, and you always was trying to make sure you were better, you thought you were better than me, even though you never proved it. So here, fine. You want it? At Starrcade, I'll prove I was always the best. But when I destroy you and take my place top professional wrestling, don't tell me I didn't give you a shot to walk away. As he spits out O'Hare and walks away, arm in arm with Raven Rain as the fans boo. But we do have our made up another big match for Starrcade. Sure, overall still gets an 89. Fun stuff. Yeah, like that's kind of disappointing as far as like the main event goes, but what can you do? Shit happens. Gotta love the loading. But hey, Otani, he's good. Alright, so male. Austin, good. Okay, I just have to look at this up. Like, okay, that's fair. He was wrestling like hell in his. Yeah. Okay, so that's alright. That thing. Okay, so just as a quick thing, the thing Austin Aries was doing before was he was wrestling in Tournament X in Mexico, and a lot of doing that. So he's actually really over in Mexico right now, which, well, not really over, but decently over. So that's interesting for the future. Anyway, just want to show you guys that. But yeah, see, charisma, microphone, solid stuff. good in the ring, getting there, Anyway, there's some stuff that might have been. But anyway, let's just see here what they did on Raw. So Jack Haver defeated Heroine, Steve Richards defeated Crash Holly in an 80, Vampiro defeated McNingsmore by DQ. So that's, I imagine, is like a some weird thing. DDP, Raven and Scott Steiner defeated Rikishi and the Outcasts, our tag champs, in 83. Chris Jericho defeated Cody Hawk in a squash in 81. A random 99 ladder match between Triple H and Val Venus, sure. In the main event, Brock Lesnar and Chris Benoit defeated Edge and Big Show in a 99. Fun stuff. So I'm just curious. Okay, so Nitro was in 81. Before that, in 82. Before that, okay, in 82 again. Before that, right, a 77. Jesus. Yeah, we have not had a great match since this friggin' 99. Okay, so we paid for that 99, I guess, for with a month of bad main events. Anyway, so yeah, that's where we are now, and I'll be back in just a second with Revolution. Alright, welcome everybody back to Revolution, as we're live from the Bryce Jordan Center on the campus of Penn State. We've got 15,000 plus in the crowd tonight. We start off with a graphic announcing a big match of Mesias versus Ric Flair, as the feud that has exploded with Ric Flair's return to WCW listing continues tonight on Revolution. Then we go to the ring, as Canyon, Awesome, and Storm all come down to the ring, as Kidman takes the mic and says, I just wanted to remind everybody in WCW, I still have this called shot, which means I can have a title match anytime I want. If I want to win the Starrcade main event, I can do that. If I want to show up and ask for a title match tonight, I could, but I'm not, because I am going to take the title shot at my ultimate opportunity, and there's nobody in the back in this arena or in professional wrestling who could stop me from doing that with the backup of the best group in professional wrestling. There's been lots talked about Extreme, but people forget this man was a king of Extreme, and this man was the best technical wrestler in the world, even when he was in Philadelphia. So maybe at Starrcade, it'll be our night, or maybe it won't. Van Dam, Helms, you'll just have to remember that. You came coming out saying, Given want to talk yak about winning the world title, but deep down, you know, you can't beat me in that ring again, because nobody's better than Canyon. And more importantly, you're so scared of everybody finding out you're a loser. You don't want me to take me on. So come on. Want to prove it? Come fight me right now, tonight. And put that cold shot on. Canyon's like, don't you realize this is 3-on-1? Maybe I'll just have Awesome also bomb me off that stage and send you in traction for the next 6 months. And then out comes Teddy Hart and Jack Evans do a pop to back up Canyon. And Kevin adds, well, I mean, Awesome can snap those 2 weeks in two, and Lance will tie up the pieces that are left. And then Canyon's like, or we can just have a match tonight. And after a few back and forth, it's agreed to on a big 6-man tonight of the triumvirate of Canyon, Kidman, and Awesome taking on Teddy Hart. Of Canyon, Awesome, and Storm taking on... Of Kidman, Awesome, and Storm. Wow, I can't talk. Taking on Canyon, Teddy Hart, and Jack Evans in tonight's main event, as this gets a 93. So good start to the show. And then we go to the ring where Tony Guzini is waiting, and we have the debut of Reckless Roberts into WCW. That's the former Reckless Youths. His real name is Roberts. That works as a new name. And yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, Reckless Youths was probably the most well-known indie wrestler of the early, basically pre-ROH period. So he comes in here as a member of the Cruiserweight division, debuting in the tri-state area where people know him. And his gimmick of King of the Indies has a gimmick very good, so that's good. Then we have the actual match, which is decent. Unfortunately, no investment in either guys, but you know, it's the end of the world. As about to power wrestling and Little Heat, Tony Guzini defeated Reckless Roberts at 5:44 by pinfall with a Sky Twitch. So I think it's a 43 back and forth match, sort of what you'd expect. But Tony Guzini gets a few big moves, and unfortunately, Reckless Roberts in his debut at WCW takes the pinfall loss, falling to the Sky Twister press in a little under 6 minutes. as Roberts gets a 56, because again, this is the Tri-State list where he's probably over the most. I'd have to double check that. And Tony Kazan gets a 43. Overall, a 43, because again, not that over yet, but still a solid thing. As Tony Kazan celebrates, as he's added to the Mayhem Ignition Cruiserweight match to a 41. And then we cut backstage where Jeremy Borash is with Jonathan Toro, the US champion, as Ray Jr., as Borash says, Jonathan Toro, Ray Jr. has told me that you have not accepted the handicap match officially, 3-on-2, despite you the one calling for it. And Jonathan Toro is like, you mongrel. You have to accept that being a leader of the Roman Empire is all about strategy. And my strategy is having that match when I want it. And when I want that match is on Nitro. So even if by some miracle Rey Mysterio Jr. gets the victory along with his buddy Tajiri, he has only a little time to get ready for a title match against Jonathan Toro, the leader of the Roman Empire. Remember, Ray Jr., even if you win, and that's a very small chance, everybody falls to the Roman Empire. 65, decent little promo, putting over the storyline, and now we've got the match set for Nitro, Ray Jr. and Tajiri in a cruiserweight in a handicap match against the entire Roman Empire of Jonathan Toro, Romeo Lavernus, and Swinger Pomponius. And then we have a quick Prince Jose backstage promo, basically saying, I'm in Ghana at the moment, getting ready for the biggest match of my life, where I will finally win the cruiserweight title in front of millions and millions of people around the world, and show the glory of being a prince. There's a quick little promo putting over that Ose will be in the Ignition match after defeating Dean Link next week. Then he gets a 46. He's getting there. Ose is a guy who will hopefully get more TV time with the split. And then in our big match, where if Gail Kim gets the win, she will be added to the match at Starrcade against Jerry Lawler. This is a back and forth match, actually a very good match. As Tricia Skye to 71, Gail Kim gets to 61. Honestly, solid match, really good, back and forth, some fighting, some brawling, some suplexes. Tricia Skye goes for the sky's the limit, but Gail Kim turns it into basically a power bomb. Kim takes over, but Tricia fights. Basically, Tricia goes for the chick kick. Gail Kim does sort of the matrix moves to get out of it. Is able to hit a quick belly to back suplex on Tricia, go up top, hit the defeat, and get the 1, 2, 3, where Tricia basically kicks out at 3.2. So like I said, this gets a 70, Gail Kim gets a 61, Tricia Skye gets a 79, as now it is officially a triple threat match at Starrcade for the World Women's Championship. And then post-match, Jesus, Joni is so over, it really takes these. Anyway, so basically, there's a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, Gail Kim is celebrating to the cheers of the crowd as the answer is put over that it's going to be a triple threat at Starrcade. When Tricia Skye taps her on the shoulder, Gail Kim turns around ready to fight, but Tricia extends her hand, and after a moment of tension, Gail Kim shakes it to the cheers of the crowd. When Joni Lawler's music hits and she comes down to the ramp, she holds up the title, she points at both women in the ring, makes a throat slash gesture, smiles grimly, and then walks away. The announcer put over, Joni Lawler, this will be her toughest test at Starrcade, but she sure looks confident that there's going to be no challenge for her at all. This gets to 97 because Joni's just stupidly over. And then we go backstage, we're Wright and Chavo, cut a quick promo saying, we're ready for Starrcade to fight anybody who wants to get in the ring with us. As former tag team champions, we want to prove we're still one of the best tag teams in the world. And we've had a great 2004, but we're going to have an even better 2005. Just a quick promo to get them on the show, to sort of get them over. And then we have a very interesting segment up next. As Eric Bischoff comes down to the ring, to make spot because he's Eric Bischoff. As first, he's, we've seen a lot of big tag team matches in a couple weeks, and I want to make the official announcement that as part of Starrcade, just like last year, we have a tag team gauntlet where the winners will receive a tag team title shot. But it will not be on Nitro. and I'll announce more about that in the near future. Also, both men have agreed it will be Eddie Guerrero versus AJ Styles at Starrcade. That's another huge match. Which, if you have ears as I explained this, you could have guessed that, but there we go. But then before, and Bischoff says, I have lots of other news about the upcoming draft and split when some interesting music hits. Now comes to a big pop from the crowd. Teddy Long. And Bischoff looks at him like, what the hell are you doing here? And Teddy Long has the mic and says, oh, well, Eric, we used to work together, player. But I have some great news. You see, the WCW Executive Committee realized it'd be against the best interests to allow you to divvy up wrestlers at US Outboard shows. And they need some competition between the shows to really prove who is the best show. So, they have appointed me the official Revolution General Manager. Now, you can still run Nitro all you want, but as of right now, playa, I'm in charge of the show. Now we're going to be partners and competitors, but after a year, I'm going to prove Revolution is the best show in wrestling. Bischoff says, we'll just see about that. And so, yeah, so some backstage stuff. This was originally going to be Roddy Piper, who's my favorite character, but Teddy Long was available, his contract was up, and he's actually pretty over, so I sort of in canon says he's been the SmackDown GM just like in real life for the past couple years. But now he's here, so there we go. Teddy Long is another manager, GM of Revolution, and will make the draft picks for Revolution at the new year, and Eric Bischoff is the GM of Metro, as it should be. 81, decent stuff. Teddy Long's actually pretty good, and I have a storyline between them now because, why not? And we come back to commercial with a tag team match as the announcers put over. This was this was one of the first matches made by WCW New Revolution General Manager Teddy Long before the show. As basically we have a good back and forth match. We have the spots between basically both people who have been going after each other. As of course, Tank Tolan went after Brother Ray, and Brother went after Tank Tolan, so there's some brawling and fighting between them. Eddie and AJ do some high flying stuff because, why not? Brother Ray hits his big Full Nelson powerbomb for a near fall on Eddie before Tank Tolan makes a save. AJ rolls through and almost hits a style clash, but Eddie attacks him from behind. But eventually, Eddie and AJ, AJ dies on Eddie, and they start brawling, fighting, but in the ringside area, as they're both not legal men. And as the referee is trying to get control of them, out comes Keenan Sharp out of nowhere. He slides in the ring. He nails Brother Ray from behind with a chair, and then he picks him up, hits a quick sort of DDT on the chair, rolls out. Tank Tolan hits a big second rope splash. 1, 2, 3. And it looks like Keenan Sharp has more backup in his war against Brother Ray. So that gets an 81, decent little match, as Tank Tolan gets a 57, Eddie Guerrero gets a 91, AJ gets an 84, and Brother Ray gets an 83. So fun stuff. Eddie and AJ were off 3A, but honestly, they were this was the point in them. I mean, honestly, okay, the real point was to make Tank and Brother, hopefully Brother gets a little bit more over. There we go. And looks like Keenan Sharp is now backing up Tank Tolan. And post-match, right, as AJ and Eddie sort of continue to fight, out comes Ray LePen to continue the 3-1 beatdown. Of course, last week, Ray LePen helped beat down Brother Ray. So now, these 3 men are seemingly trying to take out Brother Ray once and for all. This gets to 65 before WC officials break everything up. And then we basically cut backstage, where basically in the women's locker room, we see some random staff member grab the cameraman, bring him back to the locker room, open the door, and all the women are fighting. Angel Fox is going after Natty Neidhart, Romy Jonah is going after Lizzie Dumas, Sin Cartier is fighting with Angel Fox, and eventually WC officials backed up by Teddy Long get in the locker room, and he says, what kind of banana republic is Eric Bischoff? Welcome back here. Look, you dislike each other, and that's fine. But you can't be messing up my show. So, player, next week on Revolution, there's going to be a tag team match. You two, he points at Natty and Sin Cartier, will face these two as he looks at Lexi James and Lizzie Dumas. Let's see what happens then. As this gets to 54, because honestly, these women were great in fighting. Teddy Long's decent, but not great, but still fun stuff. And then we have the big Shane Helms promo package, basically same thing as on Nitro with Rob Van Dam, focusing on his career, with interview clips, video where we have it so far. So it starts off basically Helms in the cruise division with 3 count, and him doing his usual talk about that, saying he was forced into it, and then he goes to his heel turn and getting the Legend Killer, and he talks about Diamond Cutter, and says the only reason DDP hit with Diamond Cutter was backstage politics, and everybody knows it. And now I can say it now that he's gone. When you're Eric Bischoff's neighbor, you sure get a lot in this business. That's all I'm going to say. And that began my problems with the power in World Championship Wrestling. So I'm happy I finally overcome it, going to the world title. But then we get clips of him being the Legend Killer in 2002, going after Ray Jr., Dustin Rhodes, Lex Luger, Conan Kimmon. And he says, there's a clip of Helms saying, but you see, what I showed it was my time. Even when I fought Sting, as there showed clips of that, nobody could stop me. Sting's so-called biggest legend in WCW, I took his ass out. I sent him away for months. Dustin Rhodes, remembers that Lex Luger? Is he even in wrestling anymore? Ray Jr.? I ended the legend of Ray Jr. once and for all. And you sort of see a interview say, but what about? And Helms says, that's something different. And he says, but it's Starrcade, 2003. I took Kevin Nash out. Big Sexy was just another overgrown, slow heavyweight that's not part of this business anymore. It's not going to be part of the future of the business, because the future of the business has been with me, Shane Helms. The greatest wrestler in the world, the most charismatic man in the world, with backup who can take out anybody. And he talks about another feud with Ray Jr., and Sonny points out he lost at Starrcade, says, no, Starrcade was the end of my time as the greatest United States champion of all time, and it was again the rise to glory. Even though, as U.S. champion, I was the first to call Jeff Hardy, and I took Sting out one more time, but I had to move on from being the greatest U.S. champ to being the top of this business. And in only 2 months, I almost did that at Super Brawl last year. But Rob Van Dam, you got in my way all last summer, and now we're here again. But you see, at Starrcade, I'm happy in Philadelphia. I'm happy that we finally get to end the idea, the myth, the glory of your past promotion. Because you can say you weren't connected to it, did other things, but let's be honest, the only reason people care about you is because you were the extreme, cool champion who was on all sorts of magazine covers. But I did it the hard way. I beat you. I rose to the top. I beat the man who said nobody thought I could defeat Sean Perry. And now at Starrcade, in Philadelphia, in front of your hardest core fans, it will be proven once again that I was the greatest United States champion of all time. And when the book is closed on professional wrestling, I will be the greatest WCW champion of all time. As the view package ends, this gets a 96, and yeah, Helms is. And this is what's disappointing about the Popcop, because he's actually getting really good, stuff. But, what can he do? And then we have our semi-main event, which is Mesias versus Ric Flair. And basically, this is, Ric Flair, this is late era Ric Flair, so he's just, he's brawling. He juices probably early, because it's Ric Flair in 2004, why wouldn't he juice? But he hits low blows. He, tries to avoid the attack, but he's getting thrown all around. And it looks like Mesias is going to destroy him, when out of nowhere, Sting comes down from the ceiling and just whacks Mesias with the baseball bat, taking him down. And they're called for the bell, obviously, but Ric Flair starts in the stomps. Even though this is a 2-on-1 attack, it's Ric Flair and Sting beating down Mesias, so the crowd pops like hell. Eventually, Mesias rolls out of the ring, and Morningstar comes down to the ramp, but he stops as Flair has a chair, Mesias has a baseball bat. Mesias it looks like he's going in the ring, but Morningstar yells something at him that's not intelligible because he has no mic. And then Ric Flair takes the mic and he looks over the ring and says, "Brother, you called me the dirtiest player in the game. Woo! But you see, you think it's just a name. But broken bones, the pints of blood lost, Scraping sandpiper against bearskin, arms and car doors, battling all over this world. Look into the stories, Jack, and you know it's true. Because, you see, I haven't always worn the white hat in this business, and this man beside me knows it, because he's been my victim more than once. But he knows that when you have to go to war, sometimes you have to wear the black hat. And he likes the black bat, woo, and the black gloves, and the black coat. But brother, I like gold. That's why I'm with him. Because you think the gold doesn't matter, but it proves how far I'll go to win. And reminds you that I'm the nature boy. And you can hear whatever voices in your head you want, brother. But at Starrcade, you're going to be reminded that diamonds are forever. And so is Ric Flair. And then Ric Flair does his Ric Flair stuff. And then Sting takes one and says, Morningstar, Mesias, Starrcade, it's going to be showtime once again. So there we go. Flair and Sting taking the fight to Mesias and Morningstar. And though it's obviously like evil heel tactics, fans don't care because, well, there we go. So 90, really good stuff building this up. Then, we cut back. We're joining Borash is with King Sharp, Tankful, and Ray Pan. And King Sharp takes the mic and says, what you have to understand, these men are not on the path behind me, yet. They may yet be taught. And Lepan and Tank are doing Tank, wacky heel stuff in the back. Lepan is talking to Don Marie, but, she's, rubbing Tank's shoulders. But they are the means to an end, because, Brother Ray, you must understand, you are a cancer to professional wrestling. You are an alternate path that must be extinguished. Blood and brawn must be replaced by strategy and the path. Once and for all. But we are together for one purpose right now. Extinguishing your path before it can kill another promotion. So Brother Ray, find your Extreme Warriors, or find anybody who wants to team with you. And we will prove the future is us. The future is the path. So fun stuff, 62, not the greatest promo, but still building up this new feud of these younger, newer guys that have shown up in the past, basically past year or so. And they're trying to take out Brother Ray. And then we have our main event. Good. Ooh, okay, 92. Alright, so, you build the match, you can imagine the spots. Awesome throwing people around, Landstorm tying people up, Kane doing some brawling with Awesome. Hitting the cannon cutter on everybody but not getting the pin. But eventually, it's a back and forth, and Heart Legacy hits something wacky and high flying off the top rope on Awesome and Storm, take them out, and that gives Canyon just enough room to hit Kidman with the cannon cutter and then pick him up, flatliner. 1, 2, 3. Canyon pins the winner of the Mayhem tournament. As this gets a 92, Jack Evans gets an 89, Teddy Hart gets an 80, Jesus, Canyon gets a 94. Lance Storm gets an 82, Mike Awesome gets an 81, and Billy Kim gets an 84. And the show overall gets a 91. Fun stuff. And hey, it's a former adult film actress. This loads, solid shows. Again, I'm trying to build everything up, and not the easiest thing to do, honestly. But still, I'm doing my best here. I hope people are enjoying it. Alright, so let's see here, Revolution. Yes, I know, people, you're hurt and you're wrestling a lot. I don't care though. You can die after Starrcade. So, as a quick note, let's just go. Okay, so first, let's go over storylines. So, Against the Darkness is at an 81. The women's 6-man feud is at a 58. Bowling Under, which is the tag stuff, is at a 72. Choosing Violence, which is that's at a 69. Code GM starts at a 73. Booker T. Jarrett's at an 82. Cruiser Stuff's at a 62. Joni Syndrome's at a 50. Wait, why? Oh, right, I keep on forgetting, yeah. But hey, I can do a few. I really should have restarted this as something new, but oh well, what can you do? Master Empire's at a 76. Goldberg Brown's at a 92. Mr. Starrcade's at an 87. Natural Born's Enemies at an 84. Next Man Up's at a 95. AJ Eddie's at a 79. So there we go. And yeah, pre-booking wise, again, just to remind you what's set so far. And actually, it's AJ versus Eddie, the triple threat for the women's title. Monty versus Goldberg. O'Hare versus Palumbo. Holmes versus Van Dam. And of course, the tag title match. and lots of other fun matches to happen. But let's look at what the rest of the world has been doing. So we start out in the WWE, as we've got SmackDown. Had Shiniko defeat Molly Hall, retaining the tag titles in an 81, so not bad. Joe rolled out at 90. Steiner DP and Hall defeated Venus, Saturn, Now Stone in 85. Jericho defeated Densmore in squash. Hawk defeated Cody Hawk in an 86 in a squash. Gallows Bruja, Vampiro and Kane defeated Rikishi and Stevie Richards in a 79. Randy Orton drew with Raven in 92. And Kurt Angle defeated Christian and Randy in 99 as former members of the new improved Team Angle face off. And then, as another fun thing, All Japan had one of their big shows. If I can't find it. Why can't I find All Japan? Am I just blind? Oh, there. Yes, I am. Okay. So All Japan had one of their big shows, 19,000 people, but this was the wacky show. So, matches you guys. So Go Shijiaki defeated Shang Handward on the undercard. Naruki Doi defeated Grand Nanawa. Yoni and Ishii, our team. Two Gold Scorpio defeated this guy. Nagai and Arai defeated Kikamura and Okamura for the tag titles. The mid-card tag titles. Hines and Barton retained the tag titles over Steele and Johnny Smith. Kurt Hayden defeated Suwama. Yes, this is the match that happened. Taioke defeated Super Uchi Power. And the main event, Takayo Omori defeated Hiroshi Hase for the Triple Crown title. Yeah, All Japan's in a weird spot. But anyway, to go back to our Dev Fed. For the TV show, we had Claudio defeating Dagan Briggs in a 52. Travis Tomko, team with Matt Morgan and Cole, defeated Militech, Ortiz, and Daz in a 46. We had Chance Prophet defeat Tony Jones in a 46. We had Cross and Grit Kai Graves, who's a region, defeated Cassie O'Reilly and Jim Raven got a 66, and Akabone defeated Lazarus. And then for our weekly house show, we had Double Shi and Lashley teaming up again, defeat Siaki and Rain Man in a 53. We had Tony Jones defeating Rick Michaels in 49. John Phoenix defeated Shane Ballard in cage match 65. Cassie O'Reilly defeated Marcus Militech. TNT defeated Shane Ballard and Kay Grimes, and other fun stuff that doesn't matter. Interesting that the AI is pushing Travis Tonka. And then in our women's Dev Fed, we had ODB defeating Allison. Wait, did you guys see this? Yes, you did. Okay. Just want to double check. We had ODB defeating Allison Danger. We had Earl and non-gay partners defeated Venus Harding and Meg Women in 54. Becky Bayless defeated Beth Phoenix in a 50. Kim Nielsen defeated Melanie Kawasaki in a 64. And Sharon Rose defeated Lacey to retain the AWQ title in a 56. So fun stuff there. HWA weekly show had Barry Bramberg defeat Dustin Lee in a 30. Brad Burns of Regen. Alex Shelley defeated Daniel Rodimer, who was signed by WWE. Joel Graham and Cyber Squad defeated Excalibur, Skin Evan Jenkins by DQ in a 47. BJ Whitmer defeated Corey Castle in a 48. Ekmo Fatu defeated Andy Douglas. Ray Steele defeated Rocky Romero and Logan Kane. Trick Flair defeated Ricky Shane Page. And Capitelli and Sharkboy defeated the Divinity of Scott Vick and Ross Haas to retain the HOH tag titles. If we go to OVW, we had, let's see, stuff you guys would care about. Mafia defeated Chemo and probably was a stiff match. Maven defeated Rob Conway, and it will be a Raw match in 2006. Rico defeated Joey Matthews in a cage match. And yeah, that's about it. And for the other OVW stuff, let's see here. Homicide and Spank retain titles. Danny Pewter defeats Dave Rowland. Pewter's already getting 40, so that's interesting. He must become in the game pretty decent. Okay, I know, he's just kind of over, which makes sense, because he's like, yeah. Yeah, fun stuff for that. Okay. Yeah, OVW is doing OVW things. And I think that's about it to show you guys. I'm just double checking in my own brain. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, that's it for now. If you enjoyed the show, go and give a like. Comment below what you're liking and not liking. And of course, subscribe to the channel for this TEW 2020 content. And I think this week, if nothing else weird happens, I should be able to start a new series. I'm not 100% sure it'd be. I'm currently juggling in my mind between two different things. Time period and such is still up for debate, so you just have to find out. Hopefully it'll start this week. And I'm not going to guarantee that any new series will be as often as my other series were, or this series. But, I'm just going to do what I'm enjoying. Anyway, that's for now. So talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.